This is Cooper, and today I'm going to speak on the top 5 federal employee pension reductions. When planning for retirement, one of the most important things you can look at is your pension. Pension makes up, somewhat of a third of FERS employees' retirements. There's 3 parts to a FERS employee retirement: Social Security, TSP, and then also pension. As far as dollar amount, pension is a large amount for a lot of people. And when planning, when you try to decide, hey, I'm trying to figure out what date exactly I want to retire, deciding what you're going to receive from your pension in retirement is pretty important. However, a big mistake that I often see is people are only looking at the gross amount. So rather than looking at the net, the amount that they're actually going to be able to use, they're simply looking at the gross. That doesn't include all of the reductions that most federal employees have to take out. Now I'm going to speak on 5 reductions that are possible for you to take out. There's a few more, but they're not as popular or prevalent today. And not everybody's going to have these reductions. Okay, some of you will, some of you won't. But the first one I want to get into are taxes. Taxes are something that none of us can escape. I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said, nothing is certain in life except death and taxes. And that's a great point, because the IRS is going to get their money whether you like it or not. So it's not something you necessarily need to try and avoid. You just need to plan for the taxes that are going to come out of your pension. Now, something I typically suggest is to calculate taxes at an effective rate of 20%. So an effective rate would be the 20%. So basically you take the amount that you have, and I'm going to do an example at the end of this video, but you take your gross amount and then you deduct it by that 20%. That's a good planning percentage that I've seen. It may be a little bit higher, it may be a little bit lower for some of you, but for the majority of you, you're going to be right around an effective rate of 20%. So that's what I would base the calculation on. The next one, reduction that you could see, is the survivor annuity plan. The survivor annuity plan, surprisingly, isn't talked about nearly as much as it should be. The reason I think it should be talked about is because it can cost you quite a bit of money. In fact, it can't only cost you a lot of money, it can, if you decide to take advantage of it, it can really give your spouse the opportunity for quite a bit of money if you're to pass away before her, or I guess him. I guess we're talking spouses. But when it comes to the survivor annuity plan, they give you a few options. FERS and SERS are a little bit different, but speaking on FERS, because that's the majority of people watching today, you have an option for 5 or 10% of your pension to be reduced. Okay, so for example, let's say you decide to take the full survivor annuity plan. That means that it's going to cost you 10% of your pension each month, and that means that when you pass away, your spouse is going to be able to collect up to 50% of your pension each month. Okay, this is something that a lot of federal employees take advantage of. There's different ways to go about it, but I will say that if you are going to continue your health insurance, or your spouse is going to continue your health insurance with the federal government into retirement, then it's absolutely imperative that you choose a survivor annuity plan, because if you do not, they're not going to be able to continue the health insurance. So that's one caveat for you. But that's going to be a reduction. The third reduction is going to be a federal employee health benefits. Okay, federal employee health benefits is something that a lot of federal employees have, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the best benefits that you have in retirement. I mean, it's actually a really good benefit. I would estimate, look at what you're paying now. If you're going to drop some of your coverage, that's fine. You can estimate that. But for a family plan, I'd estimate around $450 for a good family plan a month. And like I said in the example, I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then the fourth reduction is going to be one that many of you could have the possibility of having reduced, is federal employee group life insurance. Federal employee group life insurance, also talked about as FEGLI, is really great when you're young. Federal employee group life insurance is very cheap when you're young, and that's why it's so great. The problem is, as you age, so does the price. the price increases quite a bit every 5 years. And if you look around the time when you turn 55, it almost doubles in cost. And then when you turn 60, it actually more than doubles in cost. So that's something to be aware of if you're going to keep FEGLI, is it's going to keep increasing even in your retirement. A lot of people decide to drop it when they retire, but it's something to look at. And if you're going to keep it, you need to make sure you factor that into your reduction from your pension. And also look at what it's going to be in the future, because it's not going to stay that price. So when you turn, let's say you retired at 62, when you turn 65, it's going to increase again, and then increase at 70, and so on and so forth up until I believe it's 85 years old. And then the fifth and final reduction I'm going to talk about today is, let me see what I have written here, early retirement reduction penalty. So this is for those who decide to take an MRA plus 10 reduction retirement, meaning they decided to retire before they're actually eligible to retire. And what happens is they just decide to take a portion of your pension, and actually the amount that they're going to take is, if you decide to retire early, also known as taking an MRA plus 10 retirement, then there's going to be a 5% penalty for each year that you're under 62 years old. So each year that you're under that 62 years old full retirement age threshold, there's going to be a 5% penalty. So let's just say you're 5 years under that, you're 57 years old, you take that 5 years and you multiply it by 5%, that's going to be a 25% reduction because you're decided to retire early. Okay, so if you're planning on retiring before that age 62 mark, make sure you're looking at what it's going to cost. Now I'm going to go over an example of what the reductions actually look like as far as numbers, and just apply it to, I guess, maybe a situation that may be similar to some of you guys'. But this is, the person in this example's name is Larry Steinfeld. He has no relation to Jerry Seinfeld, but I just found this picture and I thought it was quite funny. But Larry Steinfeld is 57 years old. He's a FERS employee. He's retiring, obviously before age 62. He's retiring at 57. And we're just going to look at, what reductions are going to take place. But kind of some background on Larry. He has a pension amount before any reductions of $2,500. Okay. He's also taking a 25% permanent reduction for retiring under MRA plus 10 because he's retiring 5 years early. I spoke a little bit earlier, 5 years early times 5% would be 25%. So that's going to be the reduction he's going to take. As far as planning purposes, we're going to plan on him being taxed at an effective rate of 20%. He has family, so he's going to keep federal employee health benefits, and that's going to run him about $450 is what we're going to plan for. And he's going to take the full survivor benefit, which is going to amount to 10% of his reduced annuity. So his pension is going to be reduced by 10%. So just factor this all together. His gross pension amount, $2,500 a month, minus his early retirement reduction of 25%, which equals $625 a month, would give him a reduced pension amount of around $1,875 a month. From there, we're going to calculate the taxes and the reductions. So for taxes, based on a 20% effective rate, that's $500 a month. So we subtract that. We also subtract the survivor benefit cost, which is going to cost 10% of that amount, which is $187.50 a month. And then we're also going to subtract the $450 a month that he's going to pay for his federal employee health benefits. Okay, so when we subtract all of that, the net pension after reductions is $737.50 a month. So that's what he's looking at. So if you just look at this, and this may be completely different from you or somebody you know, but this is just an example. His gross pension amount was $2,500 a month, and after it was all said and done with him retiring early, which I don't know if I would suggest retiring early. It just depends on your situation. But he's taking a big hit retiring early. He's going to be paying taxes, his survivor benefit cost, federal employee health benefits. that's, that really dwindles it down. So although his gross amount was $2,500 a month, he's really looking, after all reductions, $737.50 a month. So that's really something to look at when deciding, hey, I think I want to retire, but I'm not sure if I should. Being able to see those numbers on paper is very helpful for retirement. But once again, my name is Cooper. If you have any other questions, feel free to comment below or head over to our website, fedretirementplanning.com. We appreciate it. If you could share, like, comment on this video. Let us know any questions you have, and we'll be sure to help in any way we can. But thank you for watching, and look forward to more.